Hey guys, Lars here, and this is the second part of my Lightsaber Combat Unreal Project tutorial. This time I'm shooting in 1080p 60 FPS, so hopefully the performance will be much better. And we have two topics for this video. First, we'll talk about breaking the anime montages before the actual animation sequences end, so that we could chain movements more fluently, so to speak. And second of all is independent attack and movement. So let's talk about breaking attacks before the montage ends. First of all, let's look at our code and see what's the problem exactly. So let's see, we have our third-party blueprints here, and you know what, let's use collections. So the way how I use collections, usually I create just this one local collection, call it WIP. Let's make this slightly bigger. And in this collection I just put all the stuff that I'm currently heavily changing. So for example, this blueprint, and let's put Lightsaber there, and this guy as well. Okay, so we have two most used things here. First, let's look at our animation blueprint right here. So as you remember, this thing doesn't do much. It simply has some inputs from our third-person character blueprint, and I think it's actually frozen right now. Don't know what's up with that. Let's give it some time. Okay, I don't know what causes these freezes. So you will see this warning if you follow my tutorial, and it's potentially a thread unsafe thing. So we should not be doing this in anim graph. We should put this into the event graph. Let's do that actually. So let's just cut these guys out and create new things and two new variables here. So this will be like walk right value, and this will be walk forward value. So this thing will be thread safe if we go to event graph, event update, event blueprint update animation, and do the same that we did before. And right now I can hold Alt and carry these guys around to automatically make a set node for both of those. And so now I can just go ahead and put this move right and move forward. And let's test this. So you can use Alt P as a shortcut, and F11 will full screen to the current window size. So yeah, I think the performance is just fine. So you can see that this thing moves as we want it to move, and we have attack animations up and running. So one thing you will notice is that the animation has to fully finish. If I just keep clicking, you can see that it has to finish the previous animation, even though, you know, at some point we can just continue to chain to the next attack. So let's try to fix this. Let's go to our third-person character, and we have this play montage, and here we have notify begin and end, and we can actually use those. You can read documentation. I don't think this feature has a lot of documentation. I don't think it does. So we have to just stick to what we know and kind of study the engine, maybe read the source code. But I'll share what I found. So first of all, let's go to core. Let's create like a folder called anim notifies probably. And here you need to create new blueprint class. And it would be, let's see, anim notify state play montage notify window. It's kind of a like long name, but I think as far as I remember, that's the one. So let's try it. So we're creating a class for the anim notify that we can put on the montage or sequence, so that it will fire the blueprint the blueprint code. So let's try it. Let's call it attack frame. Oops. Autosave just really doesn't help. So let's go project settings, or I think it's editor preferences. autosave. Enable autosave. I just disable it. So you don't have to do this, but this is how you do it if you want to disable it. Okay, so let's put it attack notify window, something like this, and notify name is attack. So here let's put it like blue, maybe it doesn't really matter the color. Okay, so here we have this notify name, and if our animation has this notify window added to its track, excuse me, when it will fire, the notify begin will actually fire, and the notify end will fire when the window ends. So let's just go here and compare this to attack, and if this is the one that begins and if this is the one that ends, we can do certain things. Okay, so let's see. Let's print here. Let's do like begin attack. Let's do begin slicing, and here let's add like ended slicing. We'll put more logic here, but let's check it for now. I could just put breakpoints here, but this is a little bit more I don't know, fluid way to test things. Okay, so now we have to go here to our animation, and we're using two of those. I think we're using this one and this one. So we're back to our persona, and we're changing this montage. Excuse me. So now we can go to this notifies track, and here we have notify state, attack notify state. So it's added because we made a new class there. Okay, we just go here, add this guy here, and now we can actually look and say, okay, where exactly is it starting? By the way, don't mind that I have this reverse sword. I was just playing with the reverse grip. It's not the animation you would use with the reverse grip, so there's that. So let's see, when he does this, we can kind of start, that's fine. And let's end somewhere here. So at this point, pretty much, maybe at this point, here we could chain the next animation or finish tracing the sword, for example. So let's save this guy. Let's do the same from this guy. So he starts somewhere here, attack notify, and he pretty much ends sorry, he pretty much ends here. So we save this. I think it could work. Let's see. Yeah, begin and end it. Okay, this is good. Okay, so now what we could do is, here we're checking how we're attacking. So let's just for fun, let's remove this thing. Just check, and let's see. Okay, so we have this confused slicing, confused chaining of animations, which is fine. Now we can just go back here, keep checking this thing. By the way, it's a little bit nicer. I just personally like it when we do it this way. So we were not attacking. Then we can, you know, start attacking. And by the way, if you want to carry the node or carry the connection for the blueprint node, you can just hold Control. So if you hold Control and then you hold and carry, then you will carry the actual connection, just in case you didn't know this. Okay, so if we ended attacking, actually, let's just go ahead and remove this flag, shall we? And let's see what happens. Oh, and by the way, we don't need this anymore, I think. Well, maybe if we interrupt it, we should use it anyway. Okay, let's see. So we have one, we still have this, but if I click fast, well, it works. It's not really artistic that much, but we achieved what we wanted. So of course you can do a lot of cool things. I'll just show one cool thing you could do with this thing, or with this kind of like notifies. So of course the lightsaber is not something that you light all the time, right? So for example, this is not something that I would stick to. Oh, by the way, let's remove the floor so it doesn't look silly. So for example, let's just have a lightsaber here. Maybe we'll have a method for lightsaber to light it up and shut it off or shut it down. So let's go to our WAP lightsaber. Let's add two functions here. Well, okay, let's make them events in case we want to like light it up slowly. By the way, that's a good idea. We'll make it in the next video. Let me just add a remark. So saber light up slowly. Okay, so let's create custom event here, light up, or let's just go to turn on, and this will be, by the way, I just did Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V, turn off. So we turn on the lightsaber, turn off the lightsaber. So for now we just make this set visibility to true for turn on, and for turn off, oops, set visibility to false for the same guy. So, and for the point lights, set, I think we can do the same. Sorry, I think we can do the same thing. Okay, and then we can just have a little flag here, which will be called like starts turn on, or turn on start. That sounds stupid. Turned on by default. Let's do it this way. So it's a public variable. And then when begin play happens, let's branch by this guy. And of course we have it turned on by default anyway, so if it's not turned on by default, so if this is not the case, right, then we do turn off. Okay, so let's check something, because this is a public variable in the lightsaber. Let's see, can we change it here? I doubt we can actually. Yeah, okay, yeah, we can. So if we put it false, let's see what happens. Okay, so it's turned off. Nice. We have a lightsaber in our hand. By the way, let's look at it. It's nice. So now what we can do is we can turn it on only when this thing happens, right? This is not the default behavior. I like having lightsaber on all the time, of course, but let's just do it for the sake of it. So for now we don't do anything when we begin attacking. Let's do it. So get child actor, I think that's the way. And we need to cast it really quickly to lightsaber. And when we did this, let's turn it on. And the opposite will be true. We take this guy. And by the way, this is a reusable behavior, right? So we do this in several places. Let's maybe try and make the code a little bit more sorry, make the code a little bit more concise. So go ahead, collapse the function. So get lightsaber, and I'll show you a little trick here. If I go to this function doesn't really change anything, right? So it's const and pure. So now you can see that we don't even need execution node here. And of course this is not safe, because in case it doesn't cast lightsaber or it's not valid, it will not throw or crash the engine, but ideally you need to check those things. But this is the prototype, so you don't care, right? This is the cool thing about prototypes. Turn off. Nice. So let's see how it works. F11. Okay. Of course it's not really poetic, but I think it will do for time being, right? Of course it's also not nice that that it turns off after every strike, so maybe we do this once, you know what? For now at least. Or you know what, I think there is a better way to do it. So we turn it on when the attack starts, and then we have something that is called, I think it's called retriggerable delay. By the way, is it part of yeah, it's part of default library. So by the way, I think I have, no, I don't have the low entry plugin here, but I really recommend you use low entry blueprint library, but we'll talk about this later on. So what's the retriggerable delay? Well, if imagine that we do an attack and then we want to wait 5 seconds and then the lightsaber goes turns off, right? So imagine we do several attacks, and with every attack we want to renew this timer. So say, okay, you wanted to finish 3 seconds, 3 seconds in the future, but we just did another attack, so finish 5 seconds in the future once again. So we refresh the timer if it hits before it fires off, right? So let's turn it off after 10 seconds. Okay, so now let's see what happens. Well, okay, let's put it like 3 for now. So let's see if it works. Attack. And it's turned off. Okay, but let's see what happens if we just keep attacking. So you see what happens, we just attack, 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 and attack, and attack, and attack. And lightsaber doesn't turn off. And now it will. Nice. Exactly what we need. Okay, so this was like the first thing we wanted to discuss. So now we can actually interrupt our animations before they actually finish, which is really nice. Second thing is a little bit more interesting. We want to have this system, because what happens now is we have a what's called root motion, so our character actually is moved by the animation, but we don't want this to happen all the time. If we're already moving, we want our character to go ahead and just keep moving, and the animations of attacks should only affect the upper body, which is not exactly realistic. You will not be able to do this in real fight. You need to use your whole body for the strike, but I think we will find a good compromise later on, but for now let's try to do it this way. So I'll show you how it's kind of like done in the simplest way in Unreal. For now we have a really simple anim graph, right? Let's do something interesting with it. Let's make second slot. So this is where it gets a little bit funky. We have to go to animations, and let's see. So these guys have these attacks in default slot, right? This is a default slot, so we need to first find slots, and slots are somewhere around here. I don't exactly remember where. Copy curves, window, anim slot manager. Okay, here it is. So we have default group, default slot. Let's add another slot. Let's call it upper body slot. Okay. So this animation, let's see if it will actually work. This animation will only work in upper body slot, or this montage. Let's do the same for this guy. And by the way, you need to double click like 2 times and then it will work, which is fine. Okay, so now let's go back to our animation blueprint. I'll explain what we do now. So now we should have, okay, first we have to compile. And now we should have 2 slots theoretically. No, we don't. Upper body slot. I think this guy should work. Let's see. Oh yeah, you don't have it. You have to like Control C, Control V this node, and then this node has a slot name here. So this upper body slot. Okay. So the way how you do it is we blend these two like kind of like streams. If you do your reactive programming, if you work with observables, for example, we can join streams and say that, okay, from lower body and downwards for all the bones of lower body, we will take the one animation, and for the upper body and everything else, we will take another animation using the concept of two slots. So how this will work, this particular setup, let's put it upwards so we can actually like logically have the upper body on the top. So the upper body will be interrupted by attack animations. Lower body will not be interrupted because default slot doesn't have anything. So when we blend them together, I don't think we need default slot at all, but let's keep it for now there. So we will blend them by bone, and the lower body will be using the default slot or just blend space, and the upper body will use upper body animations, which will be attacks. Let's try to do this. So blend, I think it's called layered blend per bone. Okay, so base pose, blend pose, no, 0 or null, whatever you want. I don't remember how exactly will you set up this. Let's maybe do the opposite for now. So base pose, and this guy goes here. I think this will not work, so we need to do this way. So it's the same thing, but we have to like do it twice for whatever reason. It's a little bit limited. I do not know exactly why. So I don't remember what's blend. Wait, let's put it here 0.5. So when you select this thing, it will ask you to, no, don't mind this thing. It will ask you to write down the bone name. You can go to skeleton, and let's see, somewhere here is spine 01. Let's try spine 01. So it's spine 01. Save, compile. Oops, sorry. I'm not sure if it works this way, but let's see. I forgot if it's exactly this way. Whoa. That's utterly interesting. Let's try the opposite. I mean, we're getting somewhere, right? No, that's not the guy, sorry. Yeah, that's the guy. So here. Looks like it does the opposite thing. Can we do this, by the way? Blend weight goes to 1. See what happens. Whoa, that's interesting. So we're getting the opposite result. So let's put this in base pose. This is a blend pose here. I think actually I know what was happening. Maybe this will be right now. Yeah, it is right. So now it kind of works, but you see what happens, the root motion happens. So I think we have a setup for root motion here. And there are many ways to work with root motion, but what you really need to know is that you can programmatically turn it on or off, and that's exactly what we will do later on. For now we need settings for this thing. Okay, root motion mode. So let's ignore it. Let's see if it works. Yeah, it does work. So I'll show you how it works here. I have it full screen. So now it looks funky because some of the bones don't work actually the way they should. But the reality is that we really have our upper body moving independently from the lower body, and our guy is just swinging around like we wanted it to, or him to. So this is the kind of setup we have here. We'll talk about animations and maybe some blending in the next episode, but for now this is pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Please leave your comments, like, subscribe, and just let me know what you think about these episodes, what could be improved about the whole thing, what kind of ideas you have about our setup, and where could we take it in the future. Thank you for watching, and see you next episode.